Simmer down now. The most advanced spiritual instruction ever smuggled in as a joke. There are teachings that take years to unfold. And then there are 3 words that end the argument instantly. Simmer down now. It arrives disguised as comedy, but it functions as instruction. Not metaphor, not poetry, instruction. Because it doesn't try to elevate the mind. It doesn't try to purify the mind. It doesn't try to improve the mind. It lowers the flame. And that single move undoes almost everything the ego is doing. The ego's favorite trick: mislabeling heat. The ego is convinced the heat is coming from outside, from circumstances, from people, from money, from bodies, from outcomes, from what just happened. But A Course in Miracles is relentless on this point. I am never upset for the reason I think. The upset is never external. The heat is never external. The world is neutral. The meaning is applied internally. The dial is turned from within. Simmer down now doesn't negotiate with the story. It doesn't debate whether the grievance is justified. It doesn't ask whether the fear is reasonable. It assumes the diagnosis is already complete. The mind is overheated. Why simmer is a direct correction of the ego. To simmer is to remain just below boiling while heat is present. This is critical, because the ego believes peace requires removing the heat, fixing the source, controlling conditions. The Course says the opposite. Seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Simmering does not require the stove to turn off. It requires recognition that the flame does not need to be obeyed. This is why simmering feels like surrender rather than effort. No resistance, no suppression, no performance of calm, just non-participation in escalation. Down is not discipline, it's gravity. The ego understands effort. It understands striving. It understands improvement projects. It does not understand down. Down is what happens when effort stops. Snow settles, sediment falls, water stills. This is why down feels like relief. You don't push down. You allow the shaking to end. A Course in Miracles calls this undoing, not doing. The Holy Spirit does not ask you to fight yourself. Down is not an achievement. Down is a release. Now is the ego's extinction event. Now is not a poetic word. Now is a surgical instrument. The ego cannot survive in the present because guilt requires past. Fear requires future. Identity requires continuity. The Course makes this brutally clear. The present is the only time there is. Problems need time. Stories need time. Suffering needs time. Now collapses the entire timeline into irrelevance. If you want a problem, you need a pass to the future. Simmer down now revokes the pass. Why repetition works instead of diluting the message. Most phrases weaken with repetition because they operate at the level of meaning. This one doesn't. It operates at the level of state. Each repetition interrupts the same pattern: thought acceleration, narrative stacking, emotional justification, identity reinforcement. Every return to the phrase is a return to presence. Not insight, not understanding, presence. And presence does not wear out. Comedy as the Holy Spirit's Trojan horse. If this instruction were delivered as a spiritual formula, the ego would argue for hours. But delivered as simmer down now, the ego laughs. And in that laugh, defenses drop. Vigilance relaxes. The nervous system disarms. Truth enters sideways. The Course hints at this through paradox and gentle humor. Truth does not need to shout. It waits until resistance softens. The miracle hidden in 3 words. Nothing has to change for peace to be present. Not the world, not the body, not the situation, not the outcome. Only the internal flame. That is the miracle A Course in Miracles points to again and again. Peace is an inner condition. Simmer down now is not advice. It is not coping. It is not self-control. It is the quiet recognition that the mind has been doing too much and can stop right now. That is why it works. That is why it lands. That is why 3 words undo an entire thought system. Simmer down now